cast a spell with me. Come and cast a spell with me.
Hello witches. So today I am doing a little bit of a different video than we're typically used to. I'm going to be talking about spell books and grimoires and Book of Shadows, and I'm going to talk to you about some tips and some little tricks, and also just some things to keep in mind when you start to build your Book of Shadows. Okay, so we're just going to jump right in. I have a couple of different books here. Not all of these have like spells in them yet. Some of these are newer. But I wanted to give you guys different ideas of how these things can look. I even have some ones down here, but I didn't have space on the table for everything. And yes, these are my spell books, so I will be sharing a very limited amount with you. But again, like I said, this is more about talking about the ways that you guys can kind of utilize these types of books. Now, when I first started my journey, I started with a plain notebook paper. So it wasn't like this elaborate situation. It was like something like this, like a little ring situation. And then I also had one that was like, those school notebooks that are like black and white, like little speckles on the top or whatever, just really like old school traditional notebooks that you could get at like the 99-cent store. I used that as a spell book, and it was mainly because I was afraid that I was going to fuck up in the book and that I wouldn't be able to fix it, right? And I didn't want it to be in some nice thing if I spilled something on it or whatever the case may be. So I wanted to like lessen the pressure. And as I continued with the craft and I continued to do what I was doing, it also kind of helps me because then it didn't look so much like a spell book. If someone ever stumbled upon it or saw it sitting on my nightstand or something, they wouldn't think like, oh wow, that's like an interesting book, I wonder what's in there. Or like, oh, that looks like a diary. They just think that maybe it's like something from school. So if you are somebody who is in the closet and you're not feeling comfortable with sharing what it is that you're doing, you don't want anyone to know, that could be a really great option, right? Another thing that you can do is you can make it digital. If you feel like you really, really don't want to have any written evidence that someone could just grab and take, you can make a digital Book of Shadows, so that way you can access it on your phone or any other type of technological device. The only thing is with that, you're going to miss out on some of these other things that I'm going to be sharing with us today, but it's just as good. It's really about storing information, but having a physical book does a lot for you magically, and I'm going to break that down for you, okay? So I want to start with this one. So this is one of the first witchy grimoires that I was gifted, right? I actually got this from one of my ex-partners, and he went out of his way, literally in 2015, he went out of his way to buy this for me, and this has no lines in it, and it just has a few basics. So I have things like symbols and color correspondences, different types of herbs and rituals and spells that I've done, and the timing of it. And this has like blank spaces and blank pages where I haven't done anything. I have something in here for calling the corners, which I don't really do anymore. There's a lot of stuff in here that I still don't use, or I haven't used in a long time. And it's really interesting too to see how my my practice has changed, how it's shifted. So this also for me would be something that is compact and small enough that I could throw it into a bag. And this would be if, let's say there's like a disaster happening or something like that, I would take something small like this, and this would be my Book of Shadows. So I like the idea of being able to transfer some of your bigger spells into smaller booklets that matter to you, that are have a protective backing. I like that this is leather. It's just stronger and sturdier, and I've had this for a few years now. I don't really know what these symbols are on it. I don't know if this is anything like some nautical or whatever. I don't know. But if you know what it is, then comment down below. I don't really know what that is, but it's really cool. And then this, I believe this is a symbol as well. I don't know if you guys can see that. I believe that's a symbol for something. But anyways, so this book of shadows, I also use this as a page where I can pull things out of. We're going to come back to this because there's some stuff in here that I want to talk about as ways that you can amplify and increase your usability with your book of shadows. But we're going to put this to the side for now. Okay. So this one is the one that I got next. The one I spent my money on. And I went on Etsy. I forget what the name of the company is. I think it's in here someplace. It's called Gypsy Witch Diaries. And this was made in 2016. So again, after I got this one. And she has like a proof of it being an original thing. I even have one of my magical stickers from my listening party in here. But I loved it because it not only came like this, it's an actual binder here, 3-ring binder that I can undo, but it came with its own pages. So let me just show you what I mean by that. So this page has its own etching here and its own designs, and this is a some bleach paper or some dyed paper. Again, some more detailing and things that I just wouldn't have put in on my own. Just really, really cool stuff here. The little cat at the end. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I love this, right? So let me pull you guys back. So first things first, I need to get a new page, a front page. But because I know it's my book of shadows, it doesn't really matter to me. I do have a table of contents here that I created at the beginning of this. I don't really follow this as much as I thought I was going to, but I feel like it is important for you to know what it is that you have and also what things that you want to fill. Like if I know I want to have more information on crystals and gemstones, or I've expanded that, I can go to that section and see what I have there. I don't really have very much on tarot, although I do a lot of tarot now in my practice. And maybe I want to add some meditation rituals and some charms that I've done. Different things like that will kind of give you some places to start. And it doesn't have to be what's in this here, but it gives you some place to kind of build upon. And then I have something here too with tinctures, oils, kitchen witchcraft, aura readings, magic runes, coven rules. At some point I thought that this was going to be a coven book, or I would just basically put people who are in my covens information in here so I could do spell work for them. And basically it was just like them signing, and I don't really have anyone signed right now. I don't have any covens right now, so to speak, but anyways, and then how I cast specifically my circles and then my original spells. So even this paper, right? So how I did this paper, because again, like I said, this came with its own like paper, but it wasn't enough. I knew it wasn't going to be enough for everything I wanted to do. I just printed out on regular plain white printed paper. And then once I was done with that, I actually dyed this with coffee. You can do this with tea. And then some of these I let them dry in the sunlight, but a lot of them I just put into the oven for a couple of minutes, maybe like 1 or 2 minutes, let it dry out, and then they were ready to use. And they have this parchment paper vibe, and you can bless the whole thing. I have a video on my YouTube channel where I talk about how to make magical papers and things of that nature. If you want to turn each one of these pages into a magical paper, you can add other herbs and stuff like that to enchant the paper with, right? So at the beginning of my practice, again, this is much different than what I kind of, not this one, but there, you'll also see that there's I think I took it out actually. I had the Wiccan Reed in here and, all these things. But there's certain things that I always like to remind myself and check back in. And here are the 13 goals of a witch. And it says, know yourself, know your craft, learn and grow, apply knowledge with wisdom, achieve balance, keep your words in good order, keep your thoughts in good order, celebrate life, attune with the cycles of the earth, breathe and eat correctly, exercise your body, meditate, and honor the goddess and God. So a lot of these things might be different for you, but these are things that at the beginning of my practice I was really trying to focus on. So again, we're not going to go through the whole thing here, but I have some different pages in here, some gemstone crystals. This is like really how I first started to learn about gemstone crystals. I went online and I found a huge library of information on different types of crystals. I printed out as many pages as I can. Like, I still have pages that I put into this like laminated paper that I have not I haven't done parchment on, that I can refer back to, right? But again, I have crystals in here that I've never even used, but now I get to come back in here and look directly into my Book of Shadows and see metaphysical properties. Also, it doesn't just have their metaphysical properties, but the function that they serve in the body and how they help the body, as well as how they can assist you in your spiritual practice. So really, really interesting. Like this specific one, what is it? Doomorite or Doomtorite or something like that. Anyways, I never used this, and then recently somebody gave me this crystal, like 3 little pieces. It's actually kind of rare, and I totally forgot about it, and now I see that it's here. So I get to come back here and do a little reading on what this stone is great for and the vibrational energies that it holds. I mean, I know how I feel when I hold it, but it's interesting to see it. Wow. Yeah, this is really interesting. Yeah, that's exactly what I picked up on it. But yeah, so just having this in here is great, because even if I'm not going to come and read every little thing, I get to come back here and reference stuff. So sometimes it's not just about like I'm writing on my spells, but it can be a good reference book so that you can stop dipping into all these different books and you can put that information in one place and have that and reach for that. Again, I have some stuff here on the full and the new moons, as well as the waxing and waning and what those periods are for. And then this is where it gets a little intense. So I have all of these herbs. This is my herb section. All these herbs are in this encasement because I did not, it was so many pages. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do that another time. But there's more information in here than I've ever accumulated in any other type of book, or, you know, that I've seen online or whatever the case may be, because this is something that I was able to obtain and type out, and then I was able to copy and paste some other pages and stuff like that from online sources. This has more information on herbs than some of, Scott Cunningham's Magical Encyclopedia of Herbs, and has things in here from different types of practices. So hoodoo, all different types of backgrounds and practices, and things in here that typically I wouldn't find in those sources. So if I can't find it in there, I'll come over here and I will kind of go through and see what letter I'm at, and I'll pull the page out and kind of look for myself. But I am going to take these pages out and eventually put them in order and actually put them in the book so they can be here. But also a great reference points to have. And then even to putting your own personal relationship and meaning to those things. Typing them out on the computer can be a really great way to save energy, and if you're afraid of fucking up, that's a great way to get out of that. I have some herbal remedies and things that I would use in a first aid kit kind of thing if I was out in some type of a natural disaster or something that's happening to me and I needed to have access to this information. I made sure to put something in there as well. So again, I don't have anything for tarot. I don't have anything for meditation or charms, or charms is actually here. But so I'm just gonna do a small, brief flip through. But you can do pretty much anything. What I like about booklets like this is that you can actually do spells inside of your Book of Shadows. So what do I mean by that? This page right here, this is really interesting. This is a map of my city, and whenever I decide that I want to move or go someplace new, I will do a pendulum, and I will have the pendulum show me what's going to be a good area for me to travel to next. And when I tell you that this has worked every single time, it's worked every single time. And even in times where I circled things and I was like, I think I'm going to live in this area, and I didn't actually move in there, I've actually moved to that place at some point in time. it kind of almost foretold that would be eventually where I was going to be. So like now I'm in a certain area that has been circled, and it's just interesting to go back and see how things line up. And then I have little pieces of parchment paper that I can use for different spell work. I like to keep it in here because then I know where it's at. So let's just, ooh, sorry, my fan is going right now, so everything is blowing away. So let's just talk about like doing a spell inside of your book, right? So the way that would happen is it's a form of, you could do a form of scripting and just writing your intention of what it is that you want. You can use things like magical spell ink. So let's say you're trying to do a money ritual. You can use this. This is a money oil from Pandora Witch Shop, and I will link her down below. And you can actually use a magical ink or dragon's blood ink, which I also have that here. This is spell ink, and this is from the Beach Witch, and I got this on Etsy. I believe that she's still there, but I'm not 100% sure. You can do wax stamps where you stamp in. I have a wax stamp for my business, but this is also a sigil for me that means a lot of things. You know, it means empowerment, spiritual enlightenment. And so if I know I'm in alignment with that, maybe I'm going to wax stamp some herbs and a piece of paper and stamp to seal it. Or maybe I have something else here. Another way that you can do it is you can add some oils, and you can maybe do like a brush painting with some oils that have specific intentions, and then sprinkle herbs on them so they kind of stick to the page. You can also put a candle here, you know, on your actual work as a way to boost and activate the page and what it is that you're doing. Of course, you want to be safe because it's paper or whatever the case may be, but the wax drippings, like maybe you've anointed this candle with herbs and oils and it gets onto the page, is a part of the spell work. And I've seen this recently done, and it's really, really incredible to activate your book that way, to really get in there and do the work inside of your book of shadows. It creates a stronger bond with the book, and it's also another powerful way of manifesting. I mean, just like when we script write and we say what we want to manifest into our lives, it's a similar thing, except now we're incorporating all these other magical elements, and it's there for us to flip back to and take in that energy, right? So that's another really powerful way to use the book. So you don't have to just use it for things that you're already doing. So again, I have things there like potions and things of that nature that I have made over time. And then I will add in other types of techniques and stuff like that. I've used this not just for, you know, those things, but I have my own original spells in here. And I like to go back and see how I, you know, sometimes I even write dream entries as well, not just the things that magically I'm doing, but all different types of stuff. Information on how to make blood elixirs, things that will tie you more powerfully to your work, and how to do that safely and ethically. And then different things of that nature that I've used over my course, my practice, and all that jazz. Now, what's great about this, again, like I said, you can add more pages, as many pages as you'd like, because this is a binder, right? And you can do this similar thing. You can go to the store. I don't know if you guys can see how she's actually taken just a regular binder, and she's taken a fabric or a cloth, and she's kind of gone over and, you know, just like kind of done this interweaving and gluing and meshing together to create this. And then she's done this work as well here on the front, which is really, really awesome. You can add gemstone crystals to the front of it. You can get really creative, and this is powerful because you have the freedom to move around. And if you're someone who's nervous about that, this is the thing for you. Now, we also have these types of little spell books. So these ones, this actually was a gift from a friend. These are some spell books that you actually, I think she got these at Marshall's. But again, these are just notebooks, right? But these notebook pages could be, yes, they could be for spells. Yes, they could be for rituals. I think I have written some stuff in here. Yeah, I started writing something in here. But they could be for spells and rituals, or they could just be talking about how your magic manifested. It doesn't always have to just be the spells that you did. It doesn't always have to be spells that worked. It could be how you felt about the magic, how you're feeling about your practice, and it could just have this whatever. So I have so many different books because I know that, you know, I spread myself thin, or I want one book to be about whatever it is, and I don't want to feel pressured that I have to put everything in one place. This is actually from my merch. If you want to purchase this booklet, you can actually get this online. If you go to the link in my bio of my Instagram, or pretty much any of the social media platforms like Instagram or TikTok, there'll be a link in the bio, and you can actually purchase this on Threadless. This and a couple of other graphic designs, but it says all my bitches be witches, and then the glamour witch. And again, this is lineless paper, but they also have 3-ring binder paper, and I think they have some other type of notebook paper that you can pick from as well. So the one that everybody always asks me about, because I recently did a video with this one featured in it, is this beautiful, beautiful book with these old parchment paper pages and this leather binding. Now, I got this on Amazon. I wrestled with a couple of different ones. I think this one might have been like $20. It wasn't that expensive. And just to kind of give you an idea, this is what the pages look like. And I will typically, this is also one of those books that I feel like would be really powerful to do the spell work inside of the pages. There's a lot of room in here, so there's a lot of stuff that you can add to this. This is something, though, that I would say, if you feel nervous about your handwriting or messing up or any of that stuff, maybe you want to write it out someplace else and then transfer it here. But I've gone as far as even, like, if I have some type of a other thing that I want to do, some words of power, things I want to activate, I will cut them out, print them out, and cut them out, and put them in here so that I can access them alongside doing the ritual, or I can say them myself. Little tiny things that I know that I can't get other places, right? Sigils and all of that. So again, this is a really great. I like this book for this reason. And then I also will save some of the pages. Like if there's a page that I want to use the parchment paper in spell work. I have in the recent past pulled out a page and used one of the papers because I just love the way that it feels, and it just felt like it was right to do. So we're gonna bring this back, okay? Back to this specific book here. So something else that I wanted to talk about is embedding codes and secret information inside of your Book of Shadows. So I'm going to share with you guys a way that I like to use it, and a way I've seen people do it in and Book of Shadow videos and all types of stuff. When we are doing a ritual, or when we're like creating things in our Book of Shadows, sometimes there's things in there that we don't want somebody who is not really privy. Let's say somebody steals your book from you, or somebody is, lurking, whatever the case may be, or you're going to be giving this and passing this along down your family line. Sometimes embedding secret information or secret spell work into the pages can be a really great way of, one, making the most of a Book of Shadows, but also like really protecting things that you don't want just the general population or people who just may find it one day to be able to easily access by just flipping through the pages. So one way is by creating a fold in the actual pages that will line up so that you can write in things like symbols and things of that nature. You can also add pockets. You can add pages. You can meld pages together so that they're a little bit thicker. And maybe what you want to do is add a little bit of wax, just a tiny bit, wax on the rim that will keep the pages sealed. And when you press down on them, they'll all be together. And then people will kind of know, like, okay, well, wow, this is like a thicker page. I wonder why. And then be more inclined to kind of try to peel back situations. You can also add things in the binding of the book. You can rebind the inside of the book. So like this part here, you can add new binding here and make it kind of noticeable, so that a person might have to take like a letter opener and open it up, and maybe it'll have a couple of herbs in there, some rose petals, and a spell to break off generational curses or something of that nature. Just a creative way of doing that. And then if you do spell work in the actual book, you can also be like, whenever this is opened and it'll be activated, the spell will be activated. So that's one way. But the way that I want to show you today is this way. So I don't know if you guys had a chance to see that. I'm gonna zoom you in here. So here is the magic. So now that this page is folded, we can see here that there is now a complete some sigils here. And I don't know if you guys can see it clearly, but I'm gonna try to hold this together the best I can so that you guys can see it. But hopefully I can get that. Let's see if the lighting is right. Anyways, so basically these are protection sigils. And the one that I have here is for breaking curses and dealing with things like psychic attacks. The best way to utilize this is by going one page at a time. So this first page here is, I have written at the corner a P, and then I've kind of circled it off so that it doesn't get in the way or it doesn't get written over when I decide to write other spells in it. And then I take my next page and I will fold it right perfectly in alignment with the next page, circling it again. This also will help whoever may read it in the future, or you, to be able to indicate where this secret thing starts. This secret information will start. So again, and it begins to start here. Now, as you can see, each page has a little sliver of some etchings starting to appear here. That's creating a picture. What you can also do is you can take a little bit of tape or even some type of a sealant. Maybe you want to put some Mod Podge here and just seal this area so you won't even be able to write over it, and someone might not be able to, like, just in case there's an accident or something like that, it'll be protected and the image will still be able to come through. And eventually, as you line it up, you are able to get it to a place where you have enough space. So I would, you know, if you don't have to do it this way, but even if you want to just put symbols here or something there, you could put stickers, you could put anything, but you want to fill up the whole page if you can, right? So you can give yourself enough room to be able to write it out. The best way for anyone who's asking, so how do I actually write on the page? All these pages are like kind of coming up. The best way to do this is by taking like a bobby pin or a hair clip and clipping the whole of the page in the center here. So when I was doing this, I first clipped it here, and then I went in and very carefully, gingerly wrote in on each page and made sure that it fell in line, and rewrote over pages that, you know, so if there was a little bit of a space there and it didn't look like anything, I would go back over it and redo it until I got it right. Again with this one as well, so that it's more of a bolder thing. But this is a way that you can embed secret messages and spell work into this work so that no one is able to catch it, and then it just goes right back. And yes, you'll see the fold slightly, but because people aren't going to be, or you're not going to necessarily be folding it over and over and over again, it will fold easily, but it will just kind of begin to just look like pages that got folded up, right? And maybe where you want to half it, right? And so this is a great way of doing that. You can also, I've seen people create pockets with different things. So put something here and make it kind of look as though it's just like some type of a, you know, some type of a sticker or something, and then really it has a little pocket inside of it with a little piece of paper and a note inside. You can do so many different things. You can even go into the inner lining here and embed some secret scrolls and things of that nature inside of this space, and be able to get even more out of this. And maybe you want to close this off or sew something over this. Maybe you want to put some charms or different things inside. I wanted to talk about how we write a spell out or plan for a spell. Now, this is a spell planner kind of map out sheet that I offered for my Spellcrafting's Basics course, which I will be redoing here soon. This is just to help you kind of understand how you're going to go about doing the ritual, and you can use the same kind of format to write the actual spells in your Book of Shadows. What you want to keep in mind is you want to make sure that you have a date and time set up. If you know when you did or when you're going to do it and what the timing of that was as well, that can be really beneficial when going back to see maybe why the spell worked or didn't work. And you can either use that information for future spells or, just as your own kind of record keeping. The purpose of the spell is really important as well, because sometimes, if you don't have a name for the spell, then you might not know what that functionality is. And it's almost like the mission statement that allows you to see if you fulfilled that purpose. You want to have your herbs, your supplies, and your ingredients list, and then things on there that also indicate where you were at and how you were feeling and the things that you did prior to the spell, so that you can see, I didn't ground and center. I didn't cleanse my space and my tools, and, did it work out? Is this a spell that I can do off the cuff, or is this a spell that needs a little bit more time and attention? And then, of course, you also want to keep in mind what actually you did during the ritual. So if you know that you did all these specific steps, you want to write them out as according to what you did, so that you can redo them or readjust the order for future workings if you decide to do this work again. I think it's also important to make sure that we speak on the after ritual thoughts. How did we feel? Did it feel positive? Maybe even if you decide that you want to pull cards to kind of see the success of that, what that vibe was that you got after the ritual. And then also considering the mundane actions that you are planning on taking or that you have taken to align yourself with the outcome of your spell work. And then you always want to make sure that you leave a space where you can come back and talk about the results of that spell working. If it manifests, if it didn't, and did it manifest exactly how you wanted it, or did it kind of go off course? Knowing this kind of information is going to help serve you in improving your magical success rate. When you know if it manifests absolutely as what you intended in the spell, then you can also go back and see, okay, what power source did I use? Did I do an offering? I grounded and centered. That's going to inform you like, okay, these things create this positive result. Let me continue to do this work. So don't leave anything off the table. And this is why writing in your spell book can be so beneficial to your overall growth and expansion as a practitioner of magic. If you're interested in me providing this specific document, I am going to make this available as a downloadable link file so that you can use this for your own Book of Shadows if you choose to do so. And last but not least, you want to make sure that you do a cleansing on whatever it is that you're going to do your Book of Shadows on. So let's say you're doing a Book of Shadows and you just bought this new notebook. Let's say it's one of these, because these are more newer. I would cleanse and sage this, or use a smoke, whatever the case may be, to remove anyone who has touched it, engaged with it, pass energy over it, any of that. Clear it of that energy and that toxicity, and then I would begin to write in it. I would also go as far as writing your name and your intention for this. And I would even set up a little bit of a protection working over it, just so it doesn't get lost or stolen or taken or tampered with. And maybe, just a little side thing, a curse and a curse ritual over it, so that anyone who tries to steal it will have no luck with any of the spells in the actual book, and will find that their life is in decay, and just basically they are miserable and unable to be successful in their life because they have stolen it. And I would put something in there to just kind of set a little reminder, like, all those who are not meant to access this spell book, you know, you need to return it immediately, and you know, nothing will happen to you if you return it immediately. But if you do not, and you steal it, and you start to use the spells in this book, or you even just take it generally, your life will end in shambles. If you're reading this now and you're holding the page and it's not meant for you, then, you know, be prepared for some shit to hit the fan in your life. You know what I'm saying? I would put something in there as well. I've done so many different ways of imbuing this, so it's my energy that is going into these pages and no one else's. I've added, you know, my own DNA and all that, so that these books are a extension of me in a certain way, but also that I always am connected to what's happening with these books, and I always know, like, where they are and what's going on with them. You don't have to do that, but that's what I would do. If you guys have any more questions, I will also link, if you guys would like to purchase something like this, I'll link a couple of different books that are like this, and also this one in the description box. You can go on Amazon and check it out for yourself if you're interested in getting something like this. And I will also try to see if I can find her on Etsy. I don't know if she's still on Etsy or not, but if she is, I will link that down below. Let me know what you guys think about this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Thank you for everyone who has stuck around. I know it was a little bit of a lull period towards the end of last month, but I was getting ready for the sex magic class, so I had a little less time. But I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Be blessed.
Pull out the candles, pull out the crystals, pull out the recipe.